Dear LGBTQ community, calm down! Hashtag not my president. Hey, it's Prince of Queens, and I only put the hashtag not my president in the title, so the more hysterical members of the queer demographic will hopefully check out this video. Shameless clickbait. What? Regardless, yes, people, I am a gay man, and knowing that Mr. Trump enjoys buying furniture for the women in his life, how hard is the following scenario to imagine? Donald Trump receives an urgent text message from Melania while they are at separate ends of the new penthouse they are just getting settled into that they will be living in for the rest of the year on off time during the campaign. He walks into the kitchen.
Donald, so rude. We've been waiting for 15 minutes.
I know. I couldn't tear myself away from the den. Ronda Rousey is fighting Holly Holmes tonight, and the opening fight was pretty good. What's so important, sweetie?
You promised you'd choose with me the dining room chairs tonight. Gio has been here since 6 p.m. Show him what we have, Gio. Well, Mr. Trump.
Hey, I told you to call me Donald.
Okay, Donald. We've narrowed it down to 2 choices.
More like one choice and a consolation prize. I know my wife. Let's see the cheap shit first.
Baby, stop!
Well, Toscano is by no means cheap. Have a look. He is one of Italy's hottest designers right now, but through me, each chair will only set you back $1,300.
They are elegant and classy. Absolutely nothing that would upset me. But now look at this.
These are Dima Loganoff's newest model, and there are only 2 sets of 6 in the world left of this season's designs. He is well respected as probably Russia's top designer, and some of my clients will probably have people killed to get his products.
See how pretty they are, Donald? It looks just like the furniture at the embassy.
And they cost
$3,000 a piece, but these will be a collector's item.
Don't make that face, Donald. They are immaculate. $2,500.
You can do $2,500, right, Gio?
I can go down to $2,700, but just for you two. $2,600.
$27, just for you, Donald.
$2,650.
You know, I'm thinking maybe I can only do $2,800 right now. Can we still pretty please do the $2,700, Gio?
I suppose, Melania. Damn it, I knew my wife chose you for a reason. Sold.
Yay! Fuck yeah! I cannot wait to choose silverware and china. I'll see you at Pilates on Tuesday, Gio. Bye-bye.
Wait, no, nobody said you gotta go. You wanna watch the fight? We can crack open a $2,700 bottle of scotch if my buddies haven't found it already. Sure. Why not? You a betting man? I've thrown $200 in the pot on Holmes.
You crazy? I'll throw in $200 on Rousey, no problem. I just saw her on Ellen, and she's ripped bigger than most of my ex-boyfriends.
I'm holding you to that, my dude. So, okay. I know that this is completely imaginary, and there's probably a few homos foaming at the mouth with the mere idea that I would be humanizing the candidate that is literally Hitler from their understanding, or the president-elect that is literally Hitler from their understanding. But I actually went to a university which had a design school that ranks in the top 5 schools internationally, and I know several people in the fashion and interior design industries, and it's actually really true what they say. The majority of people who are professionals in these fields are either women or gay men. Maybe even mostly gay men. It's a stereotype, but it's also true. Get over it. Donald Trump didn't spend his entire life pushing some weird, creepy, Republican homophobic agenda. He was a billionaire playboy who was in the spotlight since the 1980s or so, who eventually ended up with a reality show and a high-fashion wife. The idea that he doesn't have some gay friends by now is not just silly, but it's absolutely absurd. I know this is the part where somebody says, just because somebody has a gay friend doesn't mean they aren't homophobic. But you know what? Save it. I don't really even think that's true. When was the last time you met a straight person, realized they had several gay friends, and then still believe somehow they were homophobic? It just doesn't happen. It's not how reality works. And considering the left is the same people that have been saying that white gay men are no longer an oppressed minority because we can supposedly mix so well with straight white men or whatever, it's a bit late to tell us that straight white men want to herd us up into concentration camps because Trump got elected. Come on. Yes, there's some bad things about Trump in terms of the LGBTQ demographic. He said he wants to repeal the Federal Marriage Equality Act and leave it up to the states to decide, which could potentially be a bad thing, assuming that each individual state's superior courts rule against allowing gay marriages, and I assume that some of them would. I personally believe that a federal mandate making it so that gay marriages are recognized is a good thing because I want gay relationships to be seen legally as the same as heterosexual ones. But will he actually do what he said he was going to do? I'm not so sure he really plans to do those things because his lifelong history has actually been way more Democratic leaning, and he has had every reason to say whatever to get the Republican base to elect him. Similarly, he did also say just a day or two before election night that he wanted to overturn the act Obama passed, which makes it a federal offense to discriminate against somebody in terms of employment and housing based off of sexuality or being transgender, just as long as these are religious reasons they are basing these discriminatory factors upon. He said he wants Catholics to be able to express their religion by firing people if they choose, basically, because Trump is obviously such a good Catholic. This would obviously be a messed up thing if it were to pass, but again, I see no real reason to believe that he actually wants this to happen, and he likely wants to encourage states to make these decisions anyway instead of the federal government, or at least that's what he'll probably say. So again, he's really likely just trying to keep the Republican base happy for electing him, at least for now. Trump also said specifically that he doesn't care which bathroom transgender people use, as far as I remember. If I got any of this wrong, please do correct me. Either way, he certainly spent very little time talking about these things, as I don't think they were brought up during the debates at all. And let's not even bring up Hillary Clinton's dodgy history with queer issues. The biggest legitimate fear is that of Mike Pence being the vice president. But first, keep in mind one thing. What does the vice president ever actually do? Seriously, can you remember without looking at a picture what Joe Biden, our current vice president, even looks like? Can you remember ever hearing him speak? Do you have any idea what policy decisions Joe Biden stood for? Sure, Mike Pence once said that perhaps money put towards AIDS research would be better spent towards conversion therapy, aka torturing the gay out of people. And that's seriously messed up shit. I'm not denying that. He's also probably said some other fairly awful things, but considering the AIDS research thing was the thing that everybody keeps throwing around in conversation, we can assume that was a rather long time ago, because the AIDS crisis has basically been over for a while, and he since probably hasn't been as bad, or we would have heard a bunch about it. But even more so, when I watched Mike Pence debate Tim Kaine, all I could think about him with my theater background was that he seemed non-committal and phony. He seemed like the type of guy who went through life just trying to be popular, and that eventually led him into Republican politics, where he likely just played the game, flip-flopping until Donald Trump realized he needed a running mate that would satisfy the Republican base, but wouldn't try particularly hard to really get anything done. Again, I could totally be getting some things wrong, and I know this video will get a lot of disagreements, which I more than welcome. You are perfectly welcome to disagree with me or correct me, because I cannot say I have done every bit of research about Trump and Pence in relation to the LGBTQ community. But I will say this, it's not always just about us. Not everything is about the queer demographic. I am not a single issue person and never have been. When George W. Bush was trying to constitutionally ban gay marriage, I was talking about the war in Iraq and saying it was a bigger priority to fight against. One thing that I can say for certain is that although during Republican administrations, people do tend to become a bit more homophobic as a culture, one of the worst things to do is to obsess over our own issues as if they are the only things that matter. They obviously do matter, but when we obsess over them as if they are the only thing that matters, it brings out the homophobia in other people. And you start getting people on the internet posting things like, I'm not homophobic, I have gay friends, but stop talking about gay marriage when there are more important issues, you fucking faggot. I'm not excusing people that say things like that, but it's just what happens. They say shit like that when you start obsessing over only queer issues, as if queer issues are the only thing that matters. They aren't. Still, as it stands now, I have met a ton of straight Trump supporters, as well as gay ones at this point, and most of them are super nice people and truthfully a lot less homophobic towards gay men than feminists certainly have been over the past 4 years. A lot of straight Trump supporters defend gay men against ridiculous attacks that feminists have made, like that gay men supposedly frequently sexually assault women. And the straight Trump supporters certainly don't want to abolish our masculinity the way feminists do, which I have talked about in other videos, like the recent video on my channel about the book The New Gay Liberation: Escaping the Fag End of Feminism. What I am saying is that as we progress into a Trump presidency, it would be best if LGBTQ people calmed down a little bit and actually waited for a moment to see what happens, instead of just jumping head on into problems that maybe were never even going to naturally happen. The best defense for our civil rights is certainly not a good offense, and that I promise you. Alright, I am more than happy to hear your thoughts, and I will likely read all of them, though I might not respond to them all because I am well aware that this will be controversial and I'll get lots of feedback. Have a good night and stay tuned.